Today marks the 5th year anniversary of Cynical Gaming Blog, and I thought that I should do a video on this just to talk about Cynical Gaming Blog because I don't usually bring it up on this channel, and I wanted to kind of promote the blog in a way because I don't think many people know that I do a blog, and just basically just talk about the blog as a whole and all that stuff. So before I start, I'm not going to talk too long about this. I will talk about it for a while though. It's going to be a ramble, it's going to be off the cuff, so do expect that. But yeah, I want to talk about how it all started first, and before I do that I want to just tell people what I do there. So yeah, basically Cynical Gaming Blog is where I do most of my reviews. Now, if you've watched my YouTube channel, chances are you've seen a few of my reviews, but those are my video reviews. I mostly do written reviews, and there's quite a few on my website, so if you want, you can check them out. But, like I say, I will consider doing video reviews, though I'm not really sure what games I'm going to be doing video reviews for. And I'm kind of in a period of, I'm kind of having a transition period right now, trying to come up with new ideas for content and stuff, and I want to talk about a few ideas that I have later on, but that's going to be applied to my blog as well, because I want to come up with ideas for that too. So basically, I've been having a bit of an issue because I've been working on two different platforms. So I've been working on my YouTube channel and my blog, and yeah, it's been a bit of a nightmare trying to kind of build both of them equally, because that's just not going to happen. You know, one of them's going to take priority over the other. Granted, my blog does benefit from the YouTube side anyways, so it's not really that big of a deal, because when I make video it goes on my blog anyways, so yeah. The problem is that my blog gathers a lot less traction than my YouTube channel. And I think the reason for that is simply because most people don't actively seek out blogs, and a lot of people I know are YouTube content creators and not bloggers. So I'm part of a community of YouTube content creators now, something that I never thought would happen, and I'm actually kind of glad that happened, because, you know, it's great to actually be part of a community and all that. But when it comes to blogs, there's none of that. You just basically make content and you get views, and that's it. There's barely any engagement whatsoever, and I think it's a bit of a shame, but at the same time I can kind of understand it, because people like video content, and yeah, I think that's been a bit of an issue for me, because I never strove to be a YouTuber or anything like that. That's not what I wanted to do originally. I never wanted to make videos. I mean, maybe for the novelty of making videos, but really I never really wanted to take YouTube seriously or just make YouTube videos as being my primary reason for making content. No, I don't like making videos much. I mean, I'll make them simply because I get engagement from it, and sometimes I don't mind making a video, but a lot of the time I just rather make a written article over a YouTube video, because quite frankly I'm bad at making YouTube videos. I mean, if you haven't already seen how bad I am yet, then yeah, I don't know what it'll take to make you know that I'm terrible at making YouTube videos, but yeah, they're not good at the moment, and I know that, and it doesn't help the fact that my mic is shit, and the fact that they all get released in shitty quality, which is something I'm trying to figure out. I think it has something to do with my editing software, but yeah, it's just a problem that right now I don't know what to do about. I mean, I'm thinking maybe one day if I can get some editing software, some good editing software for a good price, I might pick it up, but I'm in no rush. When it comes to these sort of things, I just don't rush into them. I just want to basically just keep doing what I'm doing, and that's it. And I know that it means that the quality is going to be shit, but I guess I just can't be bothered right now. I just want to focus on the content itself, and I know that's going to bite me in the ass soon enough, but yeah, that's basically just of YouTube. It's kind of like a mess right now is this YouTube channel. It is. But regardless, Cynical Gaming Blog, I want to talk about why I started it. And, well, it all comes down to the fact that I always wanted to do video game reviews, and I always wanted to write video game magazines, you know, write articles for them, you know. And yeah, of course, fast forward to today, now everything's over the internet, you know what I mean? And also, a lot of these, like, mass media outlets, I really don't trust them. I'm not too keen on them, and I kind of stand against them and oppose them. So, Cynical Gaming Blog is kind of like my way of living the dream, in a way, but living it my way, so that I can basically do what I want, and that's the whole point. And, yeah, it's been a lot of fun making my own reviews, and it's fulfilling to do so, but at the same time it's been quite a lot of work as well, and I've been trying to make them better, and I inevitably just reached a point where I was just like, you know what, fuck it. If this isn't good enough, I'll never be good enough, because, you know, I just reached a point where I just felt, you know, enough is enough now. Like, for considering the workload that it would take to do better, it's just not worth it to me, because, as I say, it's a hobby, and I just want to enjoy it. I don't want to, you know, feel like I have to work too hard, you know? So, in a way, when it comes to reviews, I've reached a point where I think that my reviews are good enough, at least as far as I'm concerned. And I know that might sound like I'm getting complacent, but here's the thing. The reason why I want to do more stuff and change things up is because I don't want to work too much on improving my reviews, because honestly, I don't think there's any need to do it. I don't think there's any need to improve my reviews any more than they are. And sure, they could be better, but it's just, I personally don't feel the need to do so. I guess I'm just too much of a minimalist, but still, I just think that as it is right now, the way I do reviews, it's fine for me, and I just don't want to go any further than that, you know? But if you do make reviews and you do go the extra mile, then that's cool. You keep doing that, because there are people that do reviews and they just make them really high quality and just go all out with them, and that's cool, you know? But I'm a minimalist to a fault, you know? Like, it took me a while to actually bother to add pictures to my reviews, but yeah, eventually I decided, you know what, if I was to read a review, I'd want to see pictures of the game, so I decided to take pictures, and yeah, because of that, reviews became a lot more of a hassle to do, because now I no longer just have to write it, I have to get pictures for it, and that's where things get difficult. So in a way, I kind of made my life a bit too hard for myself, and eventually I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna make take notes and stuff for my reviews and stuff, and I did. But I decided not to bother in the end, because I was just like, you know what, I just can't be arsed with all that shit, because it's just not worth the payoff. So now I just, and you might have noticed the decline in my reviews, and that's kind of why. I just want to have fun, if that makes sense, and that's kind of where I've ended up going with Cynical Gaming Blog, just doing what I do, but in a way that doesn't feel fatiguing and doesn't burn me out. That's kind of been the gist, really. Especially in the later years, I feel that I've been making less and less content on the site because of it, and I'm trying to change that, but at the same time, I don't know. Like I say, in the past 5 years, I have noticed improvements, and I've noticed that I've kind of just burn out a little bit, if that makes sense. But at the same time, I want to keep going, and I want to do something fresh and different so that I don't burn out. And that's kind of where I want to be. That's kind of what I'm looking towards on Cynical Gaming Blog now, and on my YouTube channel. So I'm in a transition period right now. And yeah, like, if you're wondering why I don't make many videos on my channel often, that's why. It's because I'm working on both my blog and YouTube, and I want to try and provide quality and all that lot. So the reason why a lot of my videos recently have been responses to the button mappers is because, well, they're easy to do, and because it's something different, you know. But at the same time, I know that those video responses aren't really valuable content, and I'm just doing them mainly because, well, it's fun to do them. But ultimately, because of it, the channel's become quite a mess. It really has, and I need to work on releasing content of my own. And yeah, I've been doing a pretty piss poor job of that recently, and I know it. But like I say, it's not like it's anything new to me to have a shitty schedule on making YouTube content. I mean, it's always been like this. I've always been on and off with it, and I just kind of do things when I feel like it. I don't really have a schedule, but at the same time, I kind of push to try and do like a video or some form of content every month. But even then, I still don't always manage to do it. Like, I didn't really do anything much in September, so yeah, it doesn't always work that way, and sometimes I just don't feel like it. And sometimes it's kind of like, another issue that I have is that balancing blogging and YouTube content creation with my backlog is actually quite the challenge, to say the least. I mean, there's so many games that I need to get through, and at the same time, there's so much I want to do content-wise, and yeah, and I also have to do recording for like old games that I really shouldn't be playing. I should be focusing on my backlog, but yeah, it's just finding the time for it all and finding the right balance, because, you know, I really need to catch up on my backlog. I really do, and it's constantly growing as well. So yeah, trying to balance all that is a bit tough. But at the same time, when it comes to writing, I'm going to be honest, and just everything that I've done over the past 5 years, it's just kind of happened. I've not really, like, in a way, it just feels like I've gotten really lucky with my drive to actually do content and that lot. I just sort of like get the urge to make content, if that makes sense. It just happens. It's like, for the longest time, I'll be like, I can't really think of anything, I don't really fancy doing anything, and then suddenly, like, out of the blue, I just get the drive to just make content. And yeah, it just happens like that, and that's just how it goes. It just happens out of nowhere, and sometimes I just have this burst of energy where I just want to make content and just go all out, you know? And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy making content, because it allows me to have a voice when I want to have a voice. And there's been many times where I've actually tried to do content just simply because I just wanted to say something on the spot, and then I just look back at it and reflect on it, and I'm like, this just isn't really worth doing, and then I just give up on it. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it. I've just kind of just got this burst of energy every now and again that just keeps me going. And it just makes me wonder what will happen if that burst of energy just never comes back. And it kind of scares me because, you know, I am fearing getting burnt out from content creation. And, you know, it just never seems to happen. As not really yet, at least. I don't know, like, so far I've kind of got ideas, I've kind of got a willpower to make content, but I feel that could disappear if I don't change things up, because as much as I like doing reviews, I want to do more than just that. I want to do something else, and I need another idea. Ideally something that is a little easier to do as well, and something that can just make my channel and my website fresh and give people something different to consume from the usual review. But yeah, it's not that simple, and you've got to think of what it is that people want, and that's where you guys come in. And really, I just want to hear what ideas you've got for the channel. I mean, I have heard a few ideas, but at the same time, it's kind of like I don't know if I could do all of them on a consistent basis. Like, there's a lot of things that I could only do like out of the blue for like specific things, and then it's just like, oh, I just can't think of anything right now. And yeah, it's kind of like a creative thing right now that I'm struggling with, like figuring out what I want to do. I mean, I do have content planned, I do, so I won't worry about that, although it is going to take a while to do what I want to do, but it will be coming. It is in the works, and there are a few things in the way, so don't expect it anytime soon, because what I want to do next is going to... Let's put it this way, there's a lot of obstacles in my way when it comes to what I want to do next, so it's going to be tough to kind of like do what I want to do, but I'm probably going to need... let's put it this way, I'm going to need to rely on other people for this, because I've hit a obstacle, and I need to get footage for a certain game that I can't get footage of, and that's what's holding that back. And it's a thing that I really want to do as well, and that's what annoys me. It's just like there's always something holding me back, you know, from doing what I want to do, and it annoys me. But more than just that, the other thing that's holding me back is the fact that I have to actually finish a game that I never actually finished, and never really played much of, to actually finish what I actually want to do. And this is a big project, bigger than I actually anticipated, and yeah, it's going to take a lot of work to do, but I'm hoping that when it's done, it will be worthwhile. But at the same time, I'm very well aware that, you know, when you work your ass off for something, it's not necessarily going to be what people want, and I've learned that the hard way many times. I mean, the stuff that I work the hardest on tends to be the stuff that gets viewed the least. Now, one thing I will definitely say that did surprise me is the stereotypes videos that I did. Like, those actually got quite a lot of attention, and honestly, like, I have considered doing more of them, but the thing about it is, it's just like, it means going beyond JRPGs, and at that point, it's kind of like, I kind of need to change things up a little bit and try something different with it, but then again, I don't know if it will really work. Like, there are a few things that I have had in mind, but at the same time, it's just like, how would I make it work? And it's always the case, really. Whenever I get an idea, that's always the case. It's just like, how do I format it? How do I make it work? And how do I come up with ideas to make this actually, like, make something out of it? Like, how do I come up with a topic relevant to this format or type of content that I want to make? And it's just, I'm just constantly asking that question, you know? And I don't think I'll ever, like, be able to get into a situation where I always know what I'm doing at all times, and I always know what to do. Basically, best way to describe what I've been doing content creation wise is I've been doing everything. Like, I've been trying to, like, do everything on the fly, if that makes sense. Like, I've been trying to, like, do content just out of the blue. I haven't really thought of, like, a long series of content that I want to do, and honestly, I think I'd have a really hard time sticking to that. because I'd burn out. And that's why I want to try different things so that I don't burn out. But at the same time, then I have issues with that, and then I have obstacles in my path again, and yeah, there's always an obstacle no matter what I do. And that's what kind of causes issues for me. But also the fact that whenever I want to make, like, whenever I, like, well, it's basically what I was saying, like, I do everything on the fly, and I'm just basically, I won't say I'm relying on, like, luck, because, let's put it this way, it's kind of like, I just kind of just get these bursts of motivation, and in a way I kind of see that as luck, because it's just like, I'm lucky that I actually managed to come up with this idea on the spot and make content on it, because otherwise I just wouldn't have any reason to make content. And yeah, like I say, it's just, that's kind of been what's on my mind recently when it comes to content, and I just don't think I'd be able to stick with anything. It's like, even with reviews, there's times where I just can't think of what I can do with a review, you know? Like, what game should I review next? What game would be good to review? What game can I say a lot about? Because believe me, there are some games that are really hard to review just simply because there's not much to say about them. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's basically all I have to say on that. But, yeah, as for the site, well, I could go into the whole what I did before I started the site with Destructoid, but I don't really think that I need to go into that, other than the fact that, I mean, I can just briefly just talk about what I did on Destructoid, and yeah, that's basically, I was on the community blogs, and I used to do my reviews there. That's kind of where I started, and my reviews on there are just shit. But that's back in the old days, you know? Back when I would just, like, make content, like, all the time, like, on a regular basis, because it was easy. Only to find out that it was only easy because it was shit. And I later found out that, you know, when you actually make quality content, it actually becomes really hard, you know? But then I also figured out, thanks to Destructoid, that quality content isn't always the best content to make if you're looking for engagement. Sometimes the best content to make if you're looking for engagement is lazy content and just trash in general. You know, content that's effortless. And I find that the more effort I put into content creation, the less engagement I get in some cases. And Destructoid taught me that lesson, and because of that, that's the reason why I just don't feel the drive to improve in some cases, because I just don't feel like I just don't feel like it's worth it personally. And yeah, but that's kind of where it all began, and eventually I left Destructoid just simply because, well, I received a lot of criticism for my work at the last minute, but it was kind of the sort of criticism where people were talking, like, people weren't talking to me directly about it until the last minute, but people would fail blog me on things after the fact, even though they wouldn't even comment on my blogs. So it's kind of like, I'd be getting, like, people complaining about my content and criticizing my content, but they'd never leave comments on my actual content, so they didn't really care. But I'd still get the criticism and people just saying that they didn't like the content, and my solution was to just leave the site, because clearly nobody wanted my content. And a lot of people, you know, they were just like, no, we just want you to become better. But here's the thing, they wanted to change who I was. They wanted to mold me into being someone I didn't want to be. And quite frankly, I bruised a few people on that site because they were fanboys. It's that simple. Like, I got fail-blogged one time just simply for calling out Overwatch fans because they consume a product that encourages, like, unethical business practices. And I called them out. And because of that, I got fail-blogged. And that kind of showed what the site was all about and why I just needed to leave, because what's the point, you know? What's the point in sticking around on a site that, you know, full of people that don't care about the gaming industry and, like, industry ethics? Because that's what I stand for. I stand for industry ethics, and I stand for, you know, the industry getting better. I stand against publishers. I stand against all the bullshit. You know, that's why Cynical Gaming Blog exists. Because it's a place where I can speak my mind without having to worry about people bitching at me for talking shit about the gaming industry, rightfully. And also at the same time, not get pissed off at me for bitching at people for playing a specific game. And honestly, like, seriously, when I said that about Overwatch, like, people took it way too seriously, honestly. I have friends that play games that, you know, are by all these scummy publishers and that, and I don't bitch at them for, like, playing games that I clearly stand against, you know? I'm one of those people that believes that people should not feel ashamed of playing what they want, but I myself am a principled person, so for me, it's something that I wouldn't do. And I stand against it, but I'm still going to call people out on it. Now, if you're not going to take offense by that, but you're still going to do it, I'm not going to stop you, and you can keep doing it. But if you're going to get offended just simply because I called you out on playing a game that is, well, on consuming a product that is clearly promoting unethical business practices, then, quite frankly, I don't want you around, you know? I don't want those people, you know? I want a specific type of person consuming my content. And that's why I left the Destructoid community blogs, because those type of people that were consuming my content there were the type of people I didn't want. You know, they're the sort of people that want to look at the front page and the news for upcoming games and all that shit. Like, that's not me. You know, I want to talk about the old games, the good old days, back before we had all the industry bullshit, to remind people what gaming is all about. And on Cynical Gaming Blog, I can do that. And I can talk about modern games, and honestly, I don't think all modern games are shit, but the thing is that, you know, I still think that overall, modern gaming has declined, and I stick by that. So, yeah, it's basically just a platform for me to speak my mind, and it's my platform, so I don't have to worry about dealing with people fail blogging me all the time on another platform, just simply because I make content on that platform. You know, no one's going to fail blog me on my own platform, because it's my platform. On my platform, there isn't any fail blogging. There's no such thing, you know? And you could argue that, you know, it's not technically my platform, it is WordPress's platform, you know? But, you know, it's different. It's like, I have control over it, if that makes sense. I'm not, like, writing articles for the Destructoid community. I'm not a part of their community. I'm just on my own and by myself. And I don't really want to be a part of a community that is like that. And that's not to say that those people are, like, all bad. There are people in that community that I really did get along with, and I think are cool people. But yeah, that's basically what happened with all that. So anyways, now I want to talk about what I'm planning. So you may have seen the comparison article that I did on the 3 Yeast games. That's my idea. That's my idea as to what I want to do on my blog, and I want to mainly focus on doing it on the blog and not in video format. Just simply because it's easier, because it's easier to get screenshots as opposed to actually record it all. I don't know. It just seems that it'd be a bit of a job if I was to do that in video form, and it would mean a lot of talking. And as you can probably tell by this video, I'm not very good at talking, so yeah, I thought let's just do that in blog format. But I do have an idea for video content, though I'm not really sure. I haven't started it, so I'm not going to really disclose it until I actually start doing it. But I do want to do more comparison things, because to be honest, that comparison of the Yeast games actually did quite well. I mean, granted, it is Yeast, and Yeast is kind of popular now, and it is the newer Yeast games, so maybe that's why, I don't know, but I got quite a lot of views for it on my site, which I thought was kind of unusual. It's up there on my top all-time views, even though it's only 500 views, but, you know, as I say, I'm not really all that big, am I? I mean, my most viewed article, I mean, get this, my most viewed article is an April Fool's Day article about Valkyrie Profile 3, which I changed the title because I kind of felt bad for people. You know, I kind of felt bad for like misleading people, but people still viewed it even though I changed the title to specifically say April Fool's joke, and people still went on it. So, you know, I tried. I'm not going to say no to the views though, but yeah, that is my most viewed article, which kind of sums it up really. It's all about clickbait, people, and clickbait gives you it all. It gives you exposure in pretty much, like, it gives you a ton of exposure, it gives you engagement, it gives you the views, but I don't want to do clickbait all the time. Like, I only do it like just as a novelty, and mainly just simply to just take the piss. Like, I have done clickbait before, believe me, I have, but it's mainly just kind of like as a joke, and it always works. It always gets a ton of attention every time I do it, and I just laugh, and it's just like, really? This is all you have to do to get attention? Just say something crazy and everybody just reads it? You know, nobody wants normal, like, content, you know what I mean? And that's the problem. Nobody wants reviews because it's too normal, you know? And that's the reason why I want to branch out and do different things, because, yeah, I do want to keep doing reviews, but I want something that's a bit different. But, yeah, ultimately, I want to hear other people's input on this as well, and see what ideas they have. Now, I know that majority mentioned rants. The problem with rants is that, and here's the thing, considering the fact that this is supposed to be Cynical gaming blog, you'd think that I'd be doing a lot more rants, because really I should be. But I think my ultimate gaming rant pretty much said all I needed to say, really. I mean, if I can think of an idea of a rant, then sure. I mean, I did a rant on Sylvanas Windrunner, and that's my most viewed video on YouTube. That is not unlisted. So yeah, that's quite the feat. And yeah, I may do rants in the future, I don't know, but it depends. It's all situational, and that's the thing about the idea. I want something that I can do consistently, you know, an idea that isn't going to be situational, something that I can do on a consistent basis. You know, and that's kind of where the whole comparison thing comes in. I want to do it on a consistent basis. So, yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. Another thing I want to ask you all, and I know this is a big ask, but if you are interested in the blog, or any of my content, particularly reviews, like, if you do read some of my reviews, like, I'd like to know what you consider to be your favourite and your least favourite review of mine. You know, I'd like to know what you think of my reviews as a whole, and just kind of just leave your thoughts and tell me what is you think about them. As personally, my favourite review that I've ever done is my Odinsphere Lathrosir review, and the silly thing is, that's the review everyone on Destructoid hated, and it's still my favourite review to this day. And I think that none of my other reviews can compare to that at all. Like, not even my Valkyrie Profile 2 review can compare to that. That was a review where I just felt like I just put my all into it. And yet, that was the one that got all the hate. Which is kind of funny, but yeah. Anyways, yeah. So, what I'm asking for is just a few ideas. You know, just a few ideas to enhance my content, just to bring more content to the table. Like, I thought about doing top 10 lists. I mean, I already do top 10 lists for music, but I did that 30-day music challenge, didn't I, which kind of made it pointless to do more top 10 music content. But I thought of other ideas, but I kind of need you guys to help me out with this, because, you know, it is kind of getting tough to come up with these ideas, and, you know, I can only come up with so much, and you guys could give me a winner, you know, potentially. I mean, you guys know what it is you want, and I might be able to deliver it. So, if you can think of something that I might be able to do, then by all means tell me. And honestly, if you like a piece of content, or don't like a piece of content, you know, tell me. I mean, obviously, you know, if you don't like a piece of content, that's fine, but don't expect me to change, you know, that's going to stay the same. You know, I know that people don't always like certain videos that I do, and that's perfectly fine. But, you know, you're free to tell me what content you weren't a fan of, because it does actually help, because it tells me what is worth doing and what isn't. But at the same time, like I said, don't expect me to change. You know, it just means that I will take that into consideration for when I make future content, so that I can kind of adjust. Like, I want to know, like, what topics you like me to discuss and stuff like that, and all that, and games and stuff. You know, I want to know what my audience likes. I know that a lot of my audience like Warcraft content, but I've grown my audience since then, and my audience has grown bigger, and yeah, I think people want more than just Warcraft content now, so they want, you know, I kind of got to branch out a little bit. I mean, I do kind of have an idea as to what you guys like by watching your channels and stuff, but not all of you make content, so, you know, it might be handy for you, if you don't make content, to kind of tell me on that. Kind of tell me what it is you like, so that I can actually make content around that. But like I say, it's just for the ideas, and whether I actually take action on it or not, it doesn't really matter. It's just the fact that I know, I have a good idea as to what you all want, and what, you know, it just gives me ideas, and that's kind of what I need, you know, right now. I mean, my worst piece of content, I mean, that's the tough one, because there's so many bad pieces of content I've made, you know, but my worst review would absolutely have to be my Star Ocean 2 review that I did on Destructoid, which I absolutely hate that review, and I wish that I never wrote it, but at the same time, I'm glad I wrote it, because it was a learning curve, and that's everything. You should never be ashamed of anything that you do, people, because it's always a learning curve. And to me, that definitely was, especially now that I've replayed Star Ocean 2, like, honestly, I was way too critical of that game. Way too critical, and, like, I really wish I wasn't, because, yeah, I really don't want to have to redo that review again, but honestly, like, all you need to know, guys, is that I like Star Ocean the second story. I really do. I really do like it, but it isn't flawless, I'll tell you that much. But I really do like that game. So, yeah, I kind of regret that review because I was just a bit too critical, and honestly, I think a lot of that came down to the fact that I wasn't playing the original. I was playing the PSP remake at the time. So, yeah. But there were other reviews that I did that kind of are shit in retrospect. I mean, some of my early reviews, obviously, that had no images and all that, yeah, they weren't very good. But, yeah, as I say, that's just me. I don't know what you guys think. You know, I can judge my own work, but that doesn't mean anything if you guys don't think it's good. I mean, it does to some degree, because I do like to look at my own work. I am one of those people who looks back at my old work, and honestly, you know, I take pride in my old work, just simply because it's part of my legacy. Whether it's good or not, it's kind of part of my legacy, and, you know, it's me. That's the reason why it's my work, and there's just something nice to about looking back at your old work, even if it is shit, because you made it, you know? But, in any case, like I say, that's just me, really. So, I'd like to hear what you guys' thoughts are on my video content and my blog content. And as I say, if you haven't checked out Cynical Gaming Blog, then I recommend doing so if you want to see a lot of reviews. And I have done other articles on there as well. There's no real, like, format that I do for articles, I just do what I feel like sometimes, but I'd say that there has been a few interesting articles, and there's been a few articles that are just kind of meh. And yeah, like, it's all been a learning curve, but I do think that there are some good oldies to be found in there, and there's a few bad oldies as well that haven't aged brilliantly. But what can I say? Like, I can definitely say that I'm not the most consistent content creator out there. That's one thing I can safely say for sure. when it comes to quality consistency, I am absolute shit at that. You know, one day I could make like the most amazing piece of content ever, at least for my standards. The next day I could just make absolute shit. And I know that you guys want quality over quantity. I know that because I want quality over quantity, believe me. You know, but at the same time I just have a drive to make shitty videos. You know, I just have a drive to do it and I enjoy doing it. But making high quality videos, it's a lot of work, so yeah, you know. That's why you see a lot of trash on my channel, so, you know, I hope you can understand that, guys, because, like I say, I just want to have fun doing content on YouTube and on my blog, you know? And sometimes that means I make shitty content, and I just, because here's the thing, and here's what's been kind of bothering me, like, there's been a lot of times that I've made content and just not felt like I've wanted to put it up, just simply because, you know, I just don't think it's any good. But at the same time, when I think about that, I really shouldn't be feeling that way. I should be doing what I want and making content about what I want when I feel like it, because I just want to have fun, you know. And because of that, you know, if you don't enjoy a piece of content that I make, then, you know, that's perfectly fine, because I'll be honest, there's some content that I make that just isn't good. And yeah, like, so don't feel pressured to watch every single piece of content that I make. Don't feel pressured to always be there. You know, I appreciate the comments everyone leaves. I appreciate all the support and all the subs and just everything, you know. It's been amazing how supportive everybody has been in the YouTube community towards me. And honestly, I really appreciate that a lot. But, like I say, I am a blogger as well, and I'm a blogger first. And I just hope that people can respect that and understand that. And know that while I'm not going to be devoid of YouTube content, that YouTube is always going to be second, because my passion is writing about video games, not video creation. Video creation is just kind of something I've had to adapt to, because, you know, people like watching videos now. That's just the way things go. But yeah, so in a way, that's basically the gist of it. I mean, Cynical Gaming Blog has gone on for quite a while now. It doesn't seem long really to me. It only seems like a couple of days ago, but 5 years is actually quite a while, really. You know, and nothing's changed in the gaming industry whatsoever. You know, it's the same old gaming industry, same old bullshit, same old games that we get every single fucking year. You know, it doesn't feel like anything's changed in gaming at all. It just feels like we're still going downhill constantly and constantly, and if anything, it's just getting worse, you know? So, it's kind of weird. It feels that yesterday was like 2014 or like 2007 to me, you know? It just feels like nothing's changed since 2007. Like, maybe it's because, like, as I say, I don't know, like, maybe it's because I've gotten older, I don't know, but I think there's a bit more to it than that. I think, you know, as I say, there are a lot of you guys who do watch me that still like modern gaming, so I think there's a lot more to it than just that. I think, honestly, that there's a lot of things that are wrong with modern gaming, and that's why I did my modern gaming rant, to complain about modern gaming, because it's a big problem. It is, and it needs to be said that modern gaming is bullshit, because there are legit issues. You know, and I think everyone can agree with me that those issues are a thing, whether you like modern gaming or not. And like I said, not all modern games are terrible. There are some good ones, but you could say that for every generation, you know? There's always one good game for every bad game, and vice versa, but, you know, like, I just feel like there's a lot less in terms of good games nowadays than we used to get. It's like, back in the day, we had games like Devil May Cry 3, which were fucking phenomenal. You don't get games like that anymore. And not only that, you know, you had a lot of experimental games that tried something new and fresh, like particularly on the GameCube, like Star Fox Assault. While people hated the on foot sections, they were new and fresh and different. You know, I've been playing through Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube recently, and that game feels so fresh for a Mario game. Like, you've got the Flood, which you can use to kind of like jetpack yourself with water to like cross over places, and I really love that. It's different, it's fresh, it's new, you know? Why go backwards from that? And there's just so many games in the 6th generation that just really impressed me. It is my favourite generation, and just after that, everything just seemed to go downhill. I mean, in retrospect, 7th gen wasn't as bad as I thought it was at the time, but it still isn't brilliant. It's still not as good as 6th generation, you know? 6th generation is just way better. It's like, compared to 6th generation, it was a massive disappointment, was 7th generation. But like I say, there are still some good games in 7th generation that I do like, and I have gone back to some games in 7th gen, and I can safely say that the games I've went back to have been good. Particularly Muso's. Muso games were at their prime in 7th generation, I will definitely say that. Like, there have been a lot of great Musos released in the 7th generation. And there are some genres in the 6th generation that were just kind of like getting built up, that 7th generation really, like, brought those genres up, if that makes sense, you know? I mean, I would say that Musos are the biggest one, but like I say, like, I think one of them that I would say could be considered like that would be beat-em-ups. But here's the thing, even then, even despite the fact that beat-em-ups have gotten better in general, Devil May Cry 3 is still the best I've played so far. I've yet to play a better 3D beat-em-up than Devil May Cry 3. I mean, Devil May Cry 5, you know, yes, it has the core gameplay of 4, but it still has a lot of things that disappoint me. And yeah, like, there's just something, like, the thing about modern gaming is, like, they're trying to bring back these old franchises, but they're, like, relying way too much on fan service, and they're not doing enough of their own thing. I mean, look at the final boss of Devil May Cry 5, that sums it up. They're just trying to make it like Devil May Cry 3, you know? They don't have any real passion for it anymore. They're just doing it just to keep the brand label alive. That's how it seems to be to me. It seems that there's just no passion for it. And that's why I think Devil May Cry should have just ended with 4, honestly. I just think they're just keeping it going just for the sake of it now. You know, sometimes you just need to start a new IP. You know, it's like Tri-Ace with Infinite Undiscovery. It was completely new. You know, they tried something new. And it was kind of a new thing. And eventually, yeah, they made Exist Archive, but Exist Archive was a spiritual successor to Valkyrie Profile because they couldn't make a Valkyrie Profile 3. Because Square Enix owned the right to Valkyrie Profile. So, yeah. It's all about spiritual successors, remasters, reboots, remakes. That's what it's all about this generation. I mean, my favourite game of this generation is Odin Spear Lathless here, which is a remake of a 6th gen game. You know, a game that back in 6th gen had a lot of promise, had a lot to like about it, but was let down with the gameplay, which was fixed in current gen. And that's the reason why it's my favourite game of this console generation. And we're heading over to 9th generation now, you know? I can't believe it. We're getting another console generation after 2 shitty ones, and it's just probably going to be even more shit. I mean, God, I don't even want to start with modern consoles. They just seem to be getting worse and worse and worse every generation. I mean, Sony's trying to push their luck by removing the disc drive on some models and charging more for the ones with the disc drive. And they're also, like, screwing up things with the PlayStation Store so you can't buy old games on the website anymore. You know, they're just making things more of a hassle. Like, they're just trying to make things worse, it seems. I don't know, like, are you trying to make better consoles or what, you know? What's the point in selling us a console if there's no selling points about the hardware itself? And this is the reason why I oppose console exclusives. And this is another thing that got a lot of hate. My whole console exclusives video. It's probably my most hated video. But the thing is, the reason why I hate console exclusives is it basically gives them an excuse to make hardware just for the sake of making hardware, you know? There's no real reason for that hardware to exist, you know? Other than better graphics, but, you know, it's like, honestly, if you care about graphics, you should probably just go to PC anyways, because that's the best graphics anyways, you know? If you don't care about graphics, then yeah, I understand console gaming, you know? But Like I say, you're not playing it at its best. If you want the graphics, you go to PC. And that's what I don't get. It's just like, it feels the need to like upgrade, like when PC's already miles ahead. And I know that, you know, PCs have been around, but back in the day, the change of like what consoles provided, like Nintendo 64 brought 3D gaming, and the GameCube refined 3D models from being like jagged, like blocky models to being like super smooth models with realistic proportions, you know? And that's all it really needed. I don't see a reason to be any more than that, you know? I mean, maybe that's just me, and honestly, if they kept releasing games on the PS2 today, I would be happy, because that would make, you know, that would be just too perfect. I wouldn't need to own a PC. I wouldn't need to be a PC gamer if they just kept releasing games for those systems. The reason why I'm a PC gamer is because I'm sick of having to buy a new console every single fucking generation just to play the latest games. Well, on PC, I just need to buy a PC, you know, build it, put the stuff in it, and I can play games regardless of generation, so long as I have the specs to run it. And that's how it should be. But, yeah, anyways, that's the end of this video. The celebration of my 50th anniversary Cynical Gaming Blog. I know it's not really much of a celebration, it's just basically me bitching as per usual, but that's basically the gist of it. So, yeah. I hope that you all check it out if you haven't. And there's a link to the blog in the description. But if you just want to keep following my YouTube channel, that's fine as well. I don't really care, really. And for all the content creators out there, just keep doing what you do. And, you know, I'll keep watching. So yeah, see you guys.